this person is a teacher who quit. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
And the reason why he or she quit is not exactly explained. We know this person, right?
Mm-hmm.
And because his or her story is kind of vague, the real reason why he or she walked out his or her job. I'm not going with the them, they, right? Right? Let's not start with this. It's a serious issue. It deals with education. So there is some sort of he or she tried to keep the story anonymous somehow, right? So we also try to keep his or her identity anonymous we conceal gender, right? We conceal gender and go on.
In that video, yes, but he or she also said in that video that they were posting a article that did explain what happened.
Anyway, she sometimes she is a teacher.
He.
You can stay in one, right? So you never know if we made a mistake or not, right? That's how far do you have? How can you keep anonymity? Did I say it right?
Mm-hmm.
Just concealing. Is that correct? The word used, concealing gender, right? So walked out of the job, right? Felt that there was a need to explain why that changed after a long career. Right? Mentioned that it was a difficult year. It was a very difficult year. Couldn't sleep, basically. Right? And now that he or she quit, life just became
so much better.
So much better. Why? Because he or she, obviously, as a teacher, has a brain. If you make into a teaching job, you have good qualifications. It's tough. Your brain is a super brain. And he or she realized that he or she has a super brain and he can...
He or she right? said they're the most creative they've been in 18 years.
She, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yep, she, or he. Be careful with the details, all right? She or he, right, is making the best, realized that she or he was not being respected. There was a word, the word respect was in there, right? You can, remember, we come from a place of education, so I do identify with those issues. Do you understand? I have absolutely different experiences, a completely different experience. I kept a job. I also had to walk out because it wasn't working, and thank goodness there was no major threat. People were very, no one, he or she actually, there was some sort of professional endangerment or, like they're going to rip off his or her diploma or something like that. There is a bit, to me, of glamorization. How do you say that word? Glamorization.
Glamorization. You said it.
Of walking out, of quitting a job, right? There was a bit of that. I understand also that the need for respect to demand more value, right?
But in he or she's defense, they did wait till the end of the day on a Friday at the weekend.
Don't say details. You need to be anonymous. Do you understand? That's why I'm trying to...
I said that they.
No, but if you say too much details of what's the case, we don't want to get, we're trying to keep it light, but funny, but still try and touch some issues. You can say, just be careful with the details, because remember I said that I didn't say specific words and dates, right? But listen, I said the word respect seems to have been brought into. And look, this is the issue with every professional. Every professional, it does, we compare it, yes, a doctor, a teacher, a flip burger, how do you say burger flipper, right?
Mm-hmm.
Society needs everyone putting their sacrifice in there, right? It is obviously. But and everyone, and he or she says, oh, we teach for devotion somehow, right? We teach for devotion. I understand that. You want to see people being educated. Like you want to, it's somehow, you know you're doing a great job. In the same manner, a doctor, a nurse is. And so the caretakers, there's a whole lot of people trying to hold. That's the burden of existence. And it's just falling more apart. Right? That's the reality. So when you walk out, you can say, I quit because it was too much for me. And that's what she or he says, right? It was too much. But it's just we need to admit in a less glamorized way that you gave up. And in fact, there is a comment on people, like the teachers need to accept the burden. Which burden? From who was he or she being disrespected? Right? Mm-hmm. But who was disrespected? Was it the other teachers? Was it the staff above her or him? Or from the students? Or a small portion of them?
Well, it's almost obvious
what
if
happened?
you listen to the video.
Yeah, but listen, I don't want to think about anything. What I think, like every professional, even to the toilet cleaners, do you understand? And there's a huge difference in value, in money. Mm-hmm. And there's a lot of pain. And there's a lot of pain from people realizing that they're giving. I mean, there's like some society's pressure, like you have to give yourself. We're here to all contribute. We're all here. Everyone is hurting, right? If she or he complained about she or his situation, or during COVID even, imagine the people in the flights, the people having to demand people to put masks, and the people in the hospitals, and the pressure.
Oh well, yeah, it goes for any career,
for everyone. Do you understand? So it is terrible, right? It is terrible. That's the reality. Now, she or he says, we need to. She or he came with a brilliant idea. The teachers need to demand join, maybe like a union. Is that what she or he is talking about?
Well, they already have that.
No. I mean, I'm not trying to be ironic, but she mentioned like it was the greatest. She was going to start a revolution in teachers being, how do you say, valued more socially. They're just not. And yes, absolutely, like everyone else. I think one of the main issue there is that, look, how do we say that language? We can throw language help us to understand certain truths, right? It's almost like a spiritual following. One of the things we read in Women Find Dangerous Things was that people there was a metonymic relation. People want to be part of things that are in higher numbers. Like you relate to the royals more. Oh, do you understand? You identify with the royals because they are high in a social hierarchy. People have a tendency to see the top 20 horror movies. Look, it's Halloween. This is our Halloween chat. The top 20, there is some sort of, I don't know if it's a prototype effect in the human categorization that relates to that. Always the best example, or on the opposite, the worst example, right? So I think what's happening here is that humans in general do not tend to look at their peers or the people underneath them with respect, right? They tend to find all the flaws. So if you're a small guy, the first thing people say is your smallness, the flaw. Oh, you're worthless, so I can treat you the way I want, right? So they do this with teachers because they are in the same space. Students understand that they're in bigger number. They have a power of demand, and they demand whatever. Is that the issue? And nowadays there is a lot of.
Is that the issue with what?
I have. That's the thing. I'm saying these are details that was never revealed on her or his speech.
You're just saying that as an example. It could be one of the examples.
Now I am wondering, actually, what is that made her or him quit? Do you understand? Like that, it was such an... I think he or she awoke to his or her value, right? That if she or he walked out of that pressure, of that not being able to sleep, or not being able to be rewarded, right? To be dignified, she or he walked out and was easily disposed,
right? And this
or
is,
replaced.
This is
right?
strictly.
It's
strictly me speculating, but if you ask me, I think he or she just got burned out, and that's because teachers in our society are overworked.
Absolutely.
But I think that was the real.
And if you can't take repression,
he or she can say other things, but listening to the video, I think he or she was just burnt out and needed a career change.
It's difficult, babe. Do you understand? It is difficult.
Absolutely.
I've seen teachers struggling.
They don't make a lot.
Sometimes I thought I had a hard time. I didn't. I saw a lot of teachers struggling because I also had the look. I performed better with the help of other teachers supporting me. Right? That's how it works. The teacher supporting you and working as a team, not against the students. But there was a conversation, there was negotiation. But now you never know. I'm not saying, look,
society. Teachers,
at some point you can't take it and you have to walk out because you're killing yourself. No money is going to pay your mental health. Do you understand?
Teachers
so you need to find yourself.
Are just as important as the medical staff, and look at the income difference.
Yes, and everyone. But look, and politicians, they are necessary too, but they don't need to have that glamour in money.
But just like he or she said, I think it's just people take them for granted, teachers for granted, and expect them to do it at little pay.
That's the whole thing. Do you remember we watch movies? The movies that fascinate me a lot is the enigmatic movies. The ones like David Lynch.
Yes.
The things that you look into. Why is this like the twins? Why are those twins there? Right? What is that? It looks... That's the thing. We're talking here like we are going to solve we're not solving anything.
No.
We're creating as we think. Because if we say that everyone needs to be respected equally in terms of money, we're going to what is this equal? How is this working? Right. It's a huge issue, and I think everyone is pulling their way to try and solve. But that's one of the... Do you remember the prototypes effect that I talked about? There is a thing in the human that is prone to disrespect, to not being educated even. For the powers, there's so many things. It's everywhere. And while people might be quitting with or without a better job at the end of the line, because she or he, now that's a detail, seem to be doing well, very well. But left was not how is it, prosecuted? Is that correct, for walking out? Right? Is advising people to take care of themselves, if necessary, be either demand union and demand respect and better opportunities, and maybe a breather. Right? Because people, look, everyone wants to be valued. You study, education is it's the base. Without education, you have people killing each other. You have people at each other's throat without understanding. It's stupid. Exactly. No, but that's the thing. Do you understand? People do not, if you are not smart, if you're not civilized, if there's not a person who has any sort of, people will be just pointing fingers at each other, like you're a sinner, I'm a saint, you're wrong, I'm right. But that's what it is. That's one of the prototype effects. And the only people they're going to look up is the people who think that they think have power or have money, right? Because that's how people do. They look at the bigger people, not the small guy. They don't respect the ones who are at their level, right? That's why they're going to lash out first, because it's closeness in space, it's close. That's so... Maybe they want to demand, but how do you go from there? Do we end up in, I'm not even saying anything to. Do you understand? It's a puzzle, and movies like that present reality as a puzzle. And it's like you're trying to solve a Rubik's Cube with reality. To solve your own issues, to solve what is your value. Realize, look yourself in the mirror and say, is that what is my value in society? Right? Am I being treated in the way I think how much will I? And that's it. Do you understand? Now, she or he may be our friend, right? If she realized that we're talking about her, she will not be our friend. She'll walk out. She will quit, right? Which isn't, right? Her or his right. It was the lightest way to approach this because it feels very close because we come from education, right? Kind of identify with the ideas of educating, issues of power inside schools, and who is right, who is wrong, to do what, right? And it's very difficult to solve this. But I felt like it could be our...
Well, it's an issue we won't solve. Nobody else
we're
solve.
Not solving.
You
And we're
can
not
discuss.
you're not accusing.
No, we're
right?
not accusing anybody.
It felt like it was a story of
the
success.
situation, yeah.
It was like Erin Brockovich.
In general, we're just...
Do you understand?
Right.
And now I'm doing much better. That's what it is.
And we'd like to introduce...
It's finding out who is... Oh, come here. Give your opinion as well. What do you think about all this? Tell us. No? Okay, you have better things to do. Let's try and watch a Halloween movie.
Yes.
Have a good night, everyone. Happy Halloween.
Happy Halloween.